Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is where you guys are watching. My name is Maren-The, and I am the host of Unapologetically Maren, the Cornbread Chronicles. It's a podcast where we like to talk about mental health and breaking the stigma. People who have been through, recovery and addiction, domestic violence, sexual assault. There's just a lot of things that aren't talked about near enough. And that is what we're here to do, break the stigma and let people tell their stories. Tell them raw, tell them real, uncensored and unfiltered. So today we have a special guest. She's one of my fellow Gen Gagers on TikTok. Her name is Blase, and she has a really good story. And I really want you guys to just listen and take it in and get to know a little bit about Jules and what she's been through and what she can offer. So Jules, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a
Good.
little nervous. I've never been on a podcast before.
You were all, it's all good. I'm nervous and I've done about 30. It just is
But
what it
I'm not
is.
the
Nerves
only
are
one.
nerves. But if you can go live on TikTok, then you can do the podcast. I promise.
Yeah.
So start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you want to speak about today.
So I'm Jewel. I'm 36. I have a son who's 16 and a husband. And I'm just going to tell pretty much my story with my mental health. I figured I'd start a tiny bit by telling a tiny bit about my childhood just because it kind of makes everything make more
Yeah.
sense. Um, so when I was a kid, I was the really quiet and shy kid. Um, and in school, I was always the one that got, the satisfactory grades and those lovely little marks on your report card that say, oh, doesn't participate in class or doesn't pay attention or doesn't ask for help. Like just little things like that. And then I'd always get told on for it. um, I actually remember having a really hard time in school. I just need to mute this a minute. Um, I just had I think my biggest thing was not knowing that I had ADHD. I think that plays a big part in it because I remember not being able to pay attention in school. And it was even in grade school because I actually, while I was thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, um, I like a memory just popped in my head and I would remember myself just sitting there at my little desk and I would take, those, we had to use those number two sharpened pencils. And I would just like drive it around my desk, pretending it was a school bus, just picking picking kids up for school. And it was just even in middle school and high school, it was just really, really hard for me to focus. Um, I was raised by my grandparents, really. My great grandparents. Um, and they kind of saw things different than my mom.
Yeah.
Um, and I got left out a lot, or I was told I had too many feelings, or I was the sensitive one. So my mom, she had me at 16, and then whenever she had me, I guess I was like, my dad was never allowed to see me. And then when I remember when I was 3, my mom and who I call my dad, they got married. And at that point, my biological dad, he signed his rights over to who I call my dad. Um, and then a year later, I don't even think it was a full year, if I'm being honest, just by like looking at pictures and stuff. But they divorced. And then most of my childhood, like my younger childhood, there was like different guys always coming in and out of the house.
Yeah.
or we would have to go and spend the weekend at grandma's because mom wanted to go out and party, which I mean, I don't really fault her for. I guess she was really young when she had me. Um, but I think a lot of that played into my childhood. Um, I mean, my grandparents, they're like my rock.
Yeah.
They made me feel safe. They made me feel supported. And especially whenever as I got older and it came to my mental health, like once I opened up to them about it and everything. I mean, God love them. My pap passed in July, but my grandma, she's 92 and she still asks me all kinds of questions about how I'm doing. So
Yeah.
like they've been very like in tune with everything and like keeping up with everything. Um so like they've been really like my support
Yeah. Your role
since I was
models.
a
You're
little
more of your,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah. And then whenever I was 15, my mom and my dad, they had this massive custody divorce or battle. Um, and when it was all said and done, my brother went to live with my dad and I stayed with my mom. And that's when like things like really started to change. Like when I say I like feel like the black sheep of the family, like
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Like it
I felt like
and
that
like I
growing up
complain
too.
about it to my mom all the time. And she's like, "Oh, that's bull crap." And I'm like just thinking in my head like, "No, it's not." Like my brother's the golden child and he does no wrong. He built a stable life and my life's chaotic. I had my son when I was 18. So our lives are just very different.
Very different. Yeah.
And, and I don't know, he benefits from it. He gets invited everywhere. I don't. Um, I don't know. It's kind of like we lived like two completely different lives.
Well, yeah, you have the same
And
parents, but it's like nature versus nurture, and y'all were
yeah,
raised in separate households by separate parents. So you didn't, even though
right.
you're a brother and sister and you have the same parents, your home life was just a little bit different than his. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I was diagnosed with so it took me um whenever I turned 16, back in the day you were able to take yourself to the doctors. So when I turned 16, I started going to my doctor's appointments on my own. And never once did my mom ever like raise concerns with any of my doctors about me like not being able to pay attention or anything like that.
Right.
So when I must have been I must have been 16 actually when the whole process started. And I went in to my family doctor and I was like, my teacher had a conversation with me and she thinks it would be beneficial if I pretty much talk to you about this. So I opened up to her and then back in the day, I mean, I graduated in 2008. So it was like kind of a while ago. But anyways, like the
1998.
process So, like, the process of actually being diagnosed back then,
Yeah.
it's not anything like it is now. Like, my family doctor literally, so she gave me like just a piece of paper and it just had a whole bunch of questions on it and it had like yes and no. So, I had to sit there and fill this out. And I mean, they were a lot of questions, but it was mostly like about behavior, like, like those kinds of things. And they were taking a little too long. And so I have this weird thing where I always have colored pens. Like I have to have colors because it like blocks things and separates them in my mind.
Right.
So I had colored pens with me and I was sitting there. You do too. But I was like sitting there and I was like literally coloring in like the letters, like if there was like a little opening in the E, I was coloring it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like half of it done and the doctor came in and she was like, "Well," and she's like, "I think you have ADHD." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So what does that mean?"
Right, right,
And cuz like at 16, like yes, you're like old enough to understand things, but like it wasn't really explained very well to me.
right.
They just kind of threw an Adderall prescription at me and that was it. Um but I mean, I still struggled and um I don't quite remember how it happened, but I remember talking to one of my teachers. Um it was my I think it was my junior year. No, it was my senior year. And I was really upset because it was sophomore year. Sophomore year, I failed social studies and I had to take summer school. Freshman year, I failed algebra and I had to take summer school. And
Freshman year, I failed algebra too. I understand.
well, and then I ended up failing algebra 1 again, like over the summer. So then I had to retake that my junior year. And somewhere along the way, I was missing a credit. And I was freaking out. I was like, of course it would be me, like, not graduating. Which it was kind of crazy because, like, only half of my graduating class actually graduated that day. But,
Oh,
and I was like, I don't want to be one of them. I was like, that's going to be embarrassing. I don't want to be one of them. So I sat down and I talked to, um, my softball coach. They're a teacher there too. And I think I was just venting and I was like upset because I'm like, I don't want to fail this, that, the other thing. So he had taken me to the guidance office and they got me set up. I think it was called co-op. It was where I would go to school like in the morning. I had to leave at 11 o'clock and then I would go and I would work until like 4 o'clock.
yeah.
And like that was literally my saving grace was that co-op class. um because it was actually worth 3 credits and I was short 1, so it made it up.
There you go.
So that worked out, but like this was like halfway through the school year and um so I just remember somehow I don't remember if it was from me talking to the guidance counselor, but somehow along the way, like halfway through the year, I was actually put in the IEP classes. So I kind of was able to slide on by
Yeah.
for the second half of high school. So that kind of that kind of worked out. But I mean, I just remember sitting there in classes and I would just have my ADHD stare like let's get to it. Like it was just so boring to me, I think.
It's
And
and it's not.
then
Yes, it's because it's hard to pay attention, but it's also because your brain, you weren't, maybe you weren't challenged enough. So you're
yeah,
just
like
kind of like, you're already having brain fog. You already have symptoms and side effects of having ADHD, but you're also not being
yeah,
challenged. So it's kind of just like, this
right.
is this isn't worth it. This is boring or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I would always check out.
I still check out sometimes too,
Yeah.
even now.
So then I ended up getting pregnant, like I said, at 8. Well, no, I got pregnant at 17, had him at 18. And then that was when I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and anxiety. So that's when that all fit in. And I was just they just added Prozac onto the Adderall. And then somewhere along the way, I ended up with an Ativan prescription for like as needed. So that was kind of like my regimen for like, I feel like a very long time. I was actually sitting down last night trying to think about how long it was, and I could not really pinpoint when that all changed. But at some point, the Adderall stopped working and I was put on Vyvanse. But even with those meds, I struggled hard. I I was impulsive with money, but I was also never taught how to manage money either. I was
Yeah.
never taught how to pay bills. I was never even taught how to write out a check. So like I never knew how to make a budget or understanding credit cards as like credit cards, loans, bills. It's like it was a challenge.
Yeah, it's a learning
Um
experience. You were still young too.
yeah. And I feel like I was really sheltered as a child just because my great grandparents were the ones that raised us. So like they were extra protective kind of. So like I feel like I didn't really, I don't know. I didn't notice it until my grandfather passed how like unsafe the world truly is. Like I'm anxious all the time anymore, but whenever he was here, it was just kind of like I guess like a blanketed like you're
Right.
safe because you can come to me anytime you need anything kind of thing. Um but yeah, I would I would even I was sitting down last night trying to think of how many like I changed jobs probably like I changed my underwear. Um
Also
Hobbies, I would
impulsive
pick them
behavior.
up. Yeah. I was actually fired from three. I'm a nurse, so I was fired from three jobs because I just could not get to work on time. Like I have no idea what it was, but I could not get to work on time. Like my time management is terrible.
And what also though, I mean, having, ADD myself, mornings are the hardest. That's when my brain
Yeah.
fog is the thickest. That's when my I don't want tos are the worst. That's because it's also
Yes.
before you've woken up and you haven't taken your medication yet. I mean, mornings are hard. And I
They
was an
are.
HR director in healthcare, so not a nurse,
Oh,
but
okay.
hired a bunch of nurses for 25 years. Understand
Yeah.
having to term nurses for tardiness too. But no, yeah, mornings are the worst for for my mental health personally. I have to literally kick
Yeah.
myself in the behind every single morning to this day.
Yes, I have to like I have like numerous alarms set on my phone. Like they start at like 6:30, then there's 6:45, then there's 7, 7:05,
Mm.
7:10. And then I have the sounds even like change to where like they get louder and more obnoxious as like the time progresses.
That's
So I
smart
know whenever I
though.
hear the like you got to get out that door. So like yeah, I had to do that because like no matter what I did, like I could just not get to work on time. So yeah, it was a struggle. Um but then in 2020, well no, wait. Okay. So my husband and I, we were together in 2022 that year. We got married on our 10th anniversary. And
Oh.
then in August of that year, he ended up in the hospital. And it was for just back pain, like simple back pain. And I'm pretty sure that he was in there. He was in there for like observation, but then because it was a weekend, he ended up having to be there longer.
Yeah.
And so I when I got off work the one day, I went to visit him, whatever, and I was gonna stay the night. And he's like, no, go home, like get a shower and go to bed. And I just could not fall asleep. Like I could not, like, I was pacing back and forth, like, I could not calm down. And so I called the nurse station and I was like, hey, is it okay if I come in? Like, I just can't sleep. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And um, so I went in and I must have been there for like an hour. And all of a sudden he shot straight up out of his bed, and he was just like this, like he couldn't talk, but I could see him mouthing. He's like, I can't breathe. And so I quickly turned around, like I was trying to find like an alarm. I could not find an alarm in that room anywhere at quick glance. And I turned around and the door was open and I saw the CNA standing there, like just staring, like watching everything happen. And I'm like yelling at him. I'm like, he can't breathe. He can't breathe. And I'm like screaming. And he was just standing there. So I remember I ran down the hallway towards the nurse's station. And then I heard everything going on over the speakers. They're like, code blue. Everyone kept running towards me. So then I turned around and ran for the room because I didn't want to get
Right, right.
trampled on. And I think it was just like there was so many people in there that, and I kind of backed up and I ended up getting kind of pushed into the bathroom, and I'm just like watching all of this happen. And I remember trying to get around them so I could get out into the hallway, but the room was just too small and there was people everywhere. So I ended up backing up into the closet or the bathroom, and I'm like hysterical. I don't really even remember what happened. I just remember hearing a man scream, "What is she still doing in here?" And then a man picked me up and carried me to the nurse's station and sat me down. So it turned out he ended up going septic.
Oh no.
And he was in the ICU for 8 days. But that is when my mental health like truly really tanked. It tanked a little bit when COVID happened. That same
Yeah.
year, I turned 30 also. So I think it was just like everything. I remember my depression meds were switched then, which
Were
I'm
you a
still
nurse
on
during the
those.
time of COVID already?
What's that?
Were you a nurse during the time of COVID already?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Yep.
what it
I
was.
worked at the heart doctor. Worked at the heart doctor 40 hours a week. And then because we were so short staffed at the hospital across the street, I'd have to go over there after work and work 4 hours on the COVID unit. And that was miserable.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. But like I said, in 2020, like after he almost died, like my mental health tanked. Like I remember the first day I went back to work after that all happened, I was driving and all of a sudden, like, I just felt really uncomfortable. Like, I remember I got really hot and I started like shaking and I kind of felt like I couldn't breathe. So I pulled over and I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm just like going like this, like, and my heart's just pounding out of my chest. Well, it turns out they were panic attacks. I never had like a full-fledged panic attack like that before. And so it scared me. But yeah, for the like a good 6 months, like anytime I'd leave the house, like I would get these panic attacks. And I never really, my husband kept saying I should talk to somebody about it. I should talk to somebody about it. But I never went to therapy for it. Because, nurses are the worst patients.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm already seeing a behavioral health doctor, so I don't need therapy. I'm fine. And I wasn't fine. But I was able to hold everything together until November of 2024. But in like between 2022 and 2024 is when I started drinking really heavily. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I lost my job that October. I just remember it was around Halloween. It was like towards the end of the month. And then I was just like, I don't remember anything, honestly. Like that whole week, I do not remember. Um, but my husband said that I was having ideations. And so he made the call to 911. And they came and they picked me up. I walked out in my slippers and I had my purse on my shoulder and it's pitch black out. I'm pretty sure it's like midnight. And they're walking to me, and because I was deemed safe, they didn't have to come with lights and sirens.
Yeah.
So they just kind of pulled in and they took they took my purse from me, and they're like, "Do you have any weapons on you?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Let's just get in." And I don't remember the ride to the hospital. I just remember they took everything from me. Everything. They took my shoes, they took my socks, my clothes, my phone. I had to wear hospital scrubs, and I was just put in a dark room overnight. And I just remember crying until I finally fell asleep. I must have fallen asleep at some point. I don't remember it, but that next morning they transferred me up to Philhaven, where I spent 3 weeks. I don't really remember much of it because I was still like, with like all the medicine changes I think that they made, like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of it was just like, it's foggy. Plus, it's been like 2 years, so I don't remember what I ate for breakfast, let alone
Right, right.
two
Our
years
timelines are
ago.
so exact. As you were talking, I was just sitting
Yeah.
there going, wow. I medically retired in October 2024. That's when I got really bad into alcohol. And I went to rehab in December 2024.
So no one knows this but my husband, but ended up going to rehab. I did go to rehab. It was not for me. I pretended to be very, very sick on day 2. And I pretended I made them believe that it was a medical emergency and I was taken to the hospital. And I was there. um I kept complaining about abdominal pain because I knew if I said abdominal pain, they
Yeah.
weren't going to find anything, but they get so concerned about abdominal
Yeah.
pain that I knew it was going to take a while. So I just kept complaining about this pain that I didn't have until the lady finally left. Like, she got permission to leave and go back. And they're like, they told the doctor, "Oh, just give us a call when she's ready," or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say whenever I was ready to go the very next day, I called my husband and I went home. I did not go back there. It scared me, and
Yeah.
I don't know why necessarily,
It's
but
just it's just the thought that's scary, especially
yeah.
you're a professional, you're a nurse. I was a professional HR director for a large healthcare court, it was embarrassing. And no one
Yeah.
knew I was there but my parents and my husband. But I had
Mhm.
this shame and embarrassment. But I knew I had to stay. I had to stay. But
Yeah.
I was so far off that when I went to check in, she literally sat me down and she said, "I have never had to tell anyone this ever." She said, "But I'm not going to be able to admit you today." And I'm looking at her and she said, "You need to go to the emergency room and you need to go now." And when I went to the emergency, it scared my parents, when we went to the emergency room,
Yeah.
and then I started with the DTs, and I was so dehydrated and I was shaking and trembling and couldn't talk and just started basically losing some mental as well. And
Yeah.
I was like, thank God I did decide to go that day. Because if I would have been at home when all that happened and not at the
Right.
emergency room, you never know. But
Yeah.
I went back and I did stay my 30 days and I did graduate.
Well, so the I came home, and then that next like that next night I ended up, that's when he called 911. So I kind
Yeah.
of like immediately got put into the mental health hospital. And I think like what my biggest problem was I just remember hearing horror stories about people detoxing and withdrawing from alcohol. Like they're like, it's one of the worst things that you can detox from. And like you can go septic and you can go hypoxic and all this. And I think that's what scared me, because I at that moment in time I did not have it anymore. And if it like shocked my body enough, like I could have a seizure, I could have a heart
Yeah.
attack. Like I think it was just like the scariness of it
Yeah.
that had me like so terrified. But once I got into the mental health hospital, I was completely fine. Like I had no withdrawal symptoms
Great.
and I just didn't even care anymore. Like I don't know what it was, but like it just, the urge and everything like just completely went away.
I
And I
think it's
haven't drank since.
proud of you. That's
Mhm.
awesome. But you scared yourself, and especially being a nurse and being educated in,
Right.
in medical things, it's like I have to I have to get better. And when you have that mental, it helps your physical. And I'm so glad you didn't have to go through the withdrawals that I went through, because it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I was scared of that, but yeah,
Yeah.
no. I didn't I don't remember having any withdrawals. I just remember being so foggy.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I really remember is the fogginess. But that was also when I was diagnosed with bipolar 2.
Yeah.
Came out with that diagnosis, and I'm in the currently depressed category. So we had to add Lamictal onto my regimen, Embuspar, and trazodone, and hydroxyzine. And so I take like, I'm pretty sure I have like 8 pill bottles with like pretty much all mental health meds except for 2 of them.
Like all my meds in this bag. I get you, girl. I
Yeah, I
get you,
feel like
girl.
I'm a pharmacy
Yeah, me too.
nowadays.
But I'd rather
But
feel like
she
I'm a
even told
pharmacy
me,
and live and be
yeah.
happy.
And she did tell me, like, I may not have to be on, say, like, the Buse bar for the rest of my life. Like, I kind of feel like a lot of my anxiety is situational.
Hmm.
Um, so, like, I feel like maybe if I can get out of the bad situations that, it would get better. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. It gets better. Um, but yeah, it, and then I started with Penn State in January of last year. And in June of last year, my clinical supervisor was leaving because they were discriminating against her for being like, pretty much for having ADHD, pretty much. Like they harassed her so much to the point where she put in her resignation. But so she pulled me aside and she's like, I didn't do this and I so wish that I would have. She's like, but I recommend that you get an ADA form filled out by your doctor, and it just kind of allows you to like present your side of like your condition to HR and why these things will help you. And so my doctor wrote on there for me to have my like an AirPod in my ear while I'm at my desk, and then a 5-minute break in the morning, a 5-minute break in the afternoon. So this was approved by HR, and I followed it for a week. And then people kept complaining that they could not find me when I was on my 5-minute breaks.
Or that you can have
And
AirPods and that's not fair. And
yeah, so they kept complaining. And the front end supervisor kept writing me up for it. So she wrote me up for being on my phone at my desk. That was fine and dandy. I was on my phone. I was a little peeved by it though, because I was on the phone with my uh behavioral health provider. Um but whatever. And um they also added in there about how they can't find me on these breaks, and there was something else. I forget what it was. And I was pretty much told that, like, I had to sign this. And they call them letters of concerns. I call it a write-up. But, so I was pretty much told I had to sign this, even though I didn't agree with it. And then something else happened. I forget what I got written up for. I think I missed work or something, and I had my occurrences or something, but it was legit. But then the third write up, which somehow I went from a first write up to a final write up, but they say that you get 3 of the written warnings before your final write up, and that did not happen. Like, it went straight from the first one to that to this. Like, there should have been like another one or 2 in there. But anyway, so they wrote me up for having this picture. I'll show you. It's a bigger version of it, but they wrote me up for having this picture of my son taped to my desktop computer at my desk at work. And I had a Post-it note on it that said, "This is your why." So the front desk supervisor took it upon herself to no, she didn't take a picture of it. She wrote down what it said, and she reported it to HR. Well, in the report that she gave to HR, she said this is not the first time that she's been told to have something inappropriate removed from her desk. And I'm sitting there, like, with this thing that they're, like, pretty much forcing me to sign. And I'm like, this is a blatant lie. I was like, I was never told about having anything inappropriate at my desk. I was like, this is horseshit. I was
right.
like, it's wrong. Like, it's not right. And my supervisor, she was sitting there and she's like, she's like, I don't agree with this write up. She's like, I don't know where it came from. She's like, but I talked to Diane and we both agreed that we never talked to you about like anything inappropriate. So then that triggered me to know, like, oh, I know who freaking did that now. And so I said, like, I think I just had the shits of it. And I asked my supervisor how I could go about, like, reporting it or like complaining about it pretty much, because I was so mad about it. And she was like, I don't know, but, she's like, I'll talk to Diane. She talked to someone and she printed out the policy for me and I followed it, and I ended up, well, I talked to my doctor about it first because my doctor was documenting everything for me, like all my concerns, like
Yeah.
all my write-ups. Like, she was documenting everything for me. And she was even documenting like how it was affecting me, like, emotionally.
Yeah.
And so I felt good, like, I felt good enough going to them because I had that as, like, oh, if they don't believe me, I can at least go back to my doctor and be like, here's the proof.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of had like a second person. But I didn't need that. I talked to HR today. I had a meeting with the head of HR and the conflict resolution person, and I pretty much just like presented my case. And I told them, I said, I've been treated unfairly and been discriminated and harassed ever since I had my ADA form filled out. I was like, if you look at my file, I never had any issues until that form was filled out. And I told them, I was like, I never had behavioral issues at any other job. I was like, it's kind of funny how the week after this form is completed and approved, miraculously, I can't hold myself together and this, that, the other thing. But the funny thing is like, they just kind of like took all the complaints and like threw it in a write-up.
Yeah.
Like, no one talked to me about any of it until I was presented with the paper. And I would put like little notes in like the side or whatever and then sign it. But that final one I did not sign. And they ended up overturning it. So they took it completely out of my file. And they said that it was unjustified and that they're going to discuss it with the HR rep who handled it. Like, it's been the same HR rep this entire time. And she's never once reached out to me. The only single time I've ever talked to this woman is in the meeting to discuss my ADA form. Only time I've ever had communication with this woman, except through email. I had contacted her once. I've been trying to get FMLA paperwork filled out for my behavioral health doctor said that she would allow me to have 2 days a month if I need them. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, apparently our company, like this massive teaching hospital, does not have a paper form available anywhere on their intranet or internet or nothing. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how do I do this? So I went to my clinical supervisor. She didn't know. I went to the manager, like the big manager above her. She didn't know. So then I reached out to HR and she's like, she just gives me a website. And I'm like, okay. So I get on this website and it wants me to put in the first date of the incident. And I'm like, if I put in the first day of the incident, it goes back too far. And like, it goes back because you have to be there for a year before you can get FMLA.
Right.
So like the date was like 6 months prior to my year. So I couldn't use that date. And I'm still trying to figure out how
Well,
to
there's a
complete this
difference
damn thing.
between, we can go over this after the podcast one day, being an HR lady.
Okay.
There's a difference between FMLA and like intermittent leave FMLA, and what you need is intermittent leave. And
Okay.
yeah, we'll go over that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, they're very bad at telling you like what you need. Because I recently was in the hospital, like I was off work for 3 weeks. And I was in the hospital for like 2 of those weeks. And by the way, this HR rep, she had the nerve to reach out to me through email, ask me for a letter from the provider with the date of my admission, what date I'm going to be discharged, and my diagnoses. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And it's even a HIPAA violation. So I, just for shits and giggles, I showed this to the doctor and he literally laughed. He's like, that's ridiculous. He's like, you'll get a note at the end of this stay, just like everyone else.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, that didn't help her. But yeah, I forget where I was going with that.
they're not supposed to ask for your diagnosis, by the way.
Yeah, I was really mad about that. But yeah, so, I don't know. But I'm just mad that you cannot print out a paper form and just fill out the damn paper form. Because, like, the form online, like, you got them little red asterisks. And if you don't fill something in, like, you can't send it. But like at least with the paper form, like even if you miss a box or something, they'll contact you and be like, "Hey, you missed this."
Right.
But like on the internet, like you just can't submit it.
But at least you know though that you have these things available to you, because most people don't realize that, and a lot of times companies and businesses either don't tell their people, what their some of their rights are, or
Mhm.
maybe they just don't know either. And unless you go to HR or someone that is who handles that, yeah, I mean, I've known plenty of people who have taken FMLA for mental health. That is something that
Mhm.
is approved, but not a lot of people realize that. So,
Yeah,
it's great to educate
that's why I like
yourself on
sharing
what,
about mental
yeah,
health.
it's good to educate yourself and know your rights, and it's great that you knew about the ADA forms. I mean, because so many people don't
Yeah.
know about that either. I mean, I had an
I
ADA
mean, they keep
form
it
for,
quiet.
yeah, they
Like they
kind of
keep it hush
do.
hush.
They kind of do. But at
Yeah.
least you were able to get some help. I mean, I'm sorry that you were going through that with her, but you're going to get that taken care of, and it's going to be better.
Yeah,
So,
it's slightly gotten better.
how has all of that situation been affecting your mental health? Are you finding that?
It was rough there for a while because my supervisor left in June. Then my grandfather passed at the end of July.
Oh,
So I was already pissed because I lost the supervisor I liked.
right.
And then I was mad because ever since I met the new one, like she had a problem with me. Like I don't know what I did to her, but like it was a whole issue. And then my grandfather passed. And it was just like then my car was totaled. And then in December, I bought a car. And 2 weeks later on Christmas Day, the transmission went out. And the company won't give me my money back, but um the people that my loan was through, they took it off my credit. Like it's pretty much like I never bought the car and I'm out $4,000. So I'm trying to get a lawyer for that. And like all this stuff was just like happening like all at the same time, and it's
Yeah.
like I never got a break like in between. And so like it even carried over into this year. Um and like maybe 2 months ago, I lost my smell during COVID. And I think I just had COVID I had COVID 5 times. So I
Mm,
think like
I
I
had
just never got
three.
my smell back. Yeah, I just never got my smell back. And I guess I like didn't wash my scrubs at all that week. Like I slept in them, I worked in them, like I just didn't care. And the one day, I guess my jacket smelled. And they sent me home that day, and that was a rough day because I don't know what was up that day. I was just bawling all day.
It's a realization to
No,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, like no real reason why. And I was just like so fed up. I was like, something's got to give. Like that whole like one thing after another after another. And then like somewhere within that time period, my grandma ended up having 2 strokes, and it's just been a whole lot of shit just all at once. So yeah, it did tank my mental health, but I feel like the past month I've been getting a lot better.
You seem positive. I mean, you've got your
Yeah.
TikTok, and you've been doing that, and you always seem positive in your lives. You make great content. And I think
Yeah.
helping educate about bipolar and ADHD also helps you. It's therapeutic. Because, like, for me, that's how
Right.
I am with my podcasts. Like, it's therapy for me just to be able to hear how much I can relate to other people, and that I'm not the only one who, for example, I'll give an example.
Right.
You were talking about the clothes thing, and it's embarrassing to talk about, but I have borderline personality disorder. I also have bipolar 2. I have ADD, and I have PTSD and generalized anxiety. And when I am in that bipolar depression mode, on top of my BPD, if I'm having a split episode, you don't have
Mhm.
the energy to do anything. And that means go take a shower, brush your teeth. You don't care
Yeah.
because you don't care about yourself that much in those moments that you just don't care. And it's like you do care on this
Yeah.
side of your
There
brain.
was
You're
like a
like,
whole
go
month
do,
I
you're
did
gonna
not
feel
brush my teeth.
better. Go take a bubble bath. You'll feel better. And this is like, no, I can't even get out of bed.
It's
I
just
can't
too
read.
exhausting to even think about getting in the bath
Yeah, it
sometimes.
is. And people, normal people don't
Yeah.
understand that. They don't, they never will. I mean, my husband, who is the best man ever, the best husband in the entire world, but he doesn't suffer from any mental health disorder at all. Or he, and before me, he really hadn't been in a relationship with someone who suffered from mental illness. And so it's hard for him. He learns. And we've been together now for 6 years, so he learns, but he still has to learn every day, even 6 years later, because his thing is like,
Right.
why can't you just get up and do this? Why are you making it so dramatic? And I'm like,
Yeah.
trigger word. Do not call me dramatic. Like I'm having
I know. The
a,
biggest thing
a
I
BPD
think that
split
irritates
going on.
I don't have that issue. I have enough of my own issues. But like with bipolar, like what people don't get is like people just think it's like you getting mad out of
Right,
nowhere. Like
right. And
they
it's
just
not.
think, oh, well, she's screaming and she has bipolar, so that's what bipolar is. But like, it's not. Like, it's not me just getting mad and screaming because I'm trying to be a biatch. Like,
Right.
that's not what it is, and that's what people think it is. It's like in an entire episode. Like, I mean, it can go on for hours,
Yeah.
days, weeks, months,
Yes, it
even
can.
years. And it's like a solid episode. Like it's not just like getting mad or pissed off
Right.
at people for no reason. Like it is like sometimes really long depressive episodes.
Yeah. And I'm like you, I always have the depressive episodes. I'm not really, I do have some manic episodes on occasion, and usually it's more like impulsivity things. Like we were talking about spending too much money, just like being a little like, I need, and what am I going
Yeah.
to do? Being impulsive. But I have the depressive state of everything. And with my
Yeah.
BPD, my biggest thing is the fear of abandonment. And it's very
Hmm.
deep, very, very, very deep, and very every single day, even on my good days. Like at my husband, I'm always like, wow. My husband, he was in the military. He's very into fitness. He's very fit. He's very gorgeous, very sweet. Um, I'm always like, why do you love me? Like, you could have so
Right.
many people in the world. He's like, I have a beautiful wife with a kind heart who's empathetic, who loves me, who has treats me like no woman has ever treated me before. Like, why do you keep questioning my love for you? And I'm like, I'm just so scared that one day you're going to wake up and be like, my wife is cray cray,
I
or
know. Like I had the same thoughts. Like up until we got married, like I had the same thoughts. Like because he came in when my son was 1. Like he's not my son's dad. He's his stepdad. People don't realize that. But he like I'm like he just did it. Like he was okay with me having a child. He was okay with it. And like one day he just slept over and he just didn't leave.
right.
And so like I'm like the entire time up until we got married, I was like he could just like up and leave anytime. I was like he has no like connections or anything. Like he can just up and split.
Yeah.
And
I
then
met my
but like
husband when
after
he
we got
literally got out of the
married, it kind
military.
of put it us at ease.
Yeah. But at least I kind of got my husband. I was like, I want you to do a little research. And I think it's very important when you're in a relationship with someone who has, some form of mental illness or has been through some type of trauma, that you understand it. I literally bought him a
Right.
book and I said, I want you to read this book. And it's I Hate You, Please Don't Leave Me. And it's saying like when you have BPD, when you're just with that fear of abandonment, even when you're in a relationship with, it's different with him, but with my ex, I wanted to leave so bad. I was miserable. I was in an abusive relationship that he ended up going to prison for
Hmm.
trying to unalive me. Um, but I stayed and I wanted his love so bad. And it was just like,
Right.
why? Why? And it wasn't just a, I'm going to fix him. It wasn't just like that. It was within myself, the core of myself. It's like, love me, love me. I can't stand you, but I need you to love me. And
Yeah.
so I told him, educate
I
yourself, so that you know what
I
to
didn't
listen.
really ask my husband to like learn anything, but I kind of noticed him. He's not a reader. He will not
Yeah.
read. But like I noticed like he was watching like videos on like Facebook and like educational videos like about like the disorders that I had.
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to do that.
And that's
And
special.
he's been really supportive. So
And that's great. Mine too. When I was in rehab and I thought for sure this man's going to leave while I'm gone. This man, now we're not allowed to have visitors, so I couldn't
right.
see him. I could only talk to him for 15 minutes every Saturday on the phone. But every single
Hmm.
day he went to that rehab, he went to the front office and he gave them a handwritten letter and either like my favorite snack or like different things you were allowed to have. So he'd bring like Doritos and queso dip, or he'd bring me like a teddy bear and a nice card every single day to remind
That's
me
nice.
I love you. I'm still here. I love you. These are the things that are going on while you're in there. And when I started making friends there, and I'm telling him about my friends in rehab, he would include them too. So he would send
Oh, well,
them
that's
things.
nice.
Yeah. So like if he was sending snacks, it was enough for the roommates. And if he was sending, like one day he
Right.
sent me a little teddy bear. He said, I want you to hold this at night like it's me. And the other girls were talking about missing their husbands too. And so he sent them teddy bears too. So we all had these little teddy
Oh.
bears we would hold in the room. And I'm like, wow, that's when I really realized, like, he does love me. And if he can put up with this, we can
Right.
make it. I just have to really work on myself and remind myself every day that I am worth it. I am worthy and I'm worthy of him. What
Right.
makes me not worthy of him just because he's such an amazing person? I'm
Yeah.
an amazing person too. I just have to remind myself that sometimes.
Right. I don't know. When I was in the mental health hospital, like he was able to come see me every day if he wanted, but it was also like an hour away.
Yeah.
And he worked full time. So like he would come up on the weekends. But they wouldn't let you have like any outside food. Like pretty much like whatever was brought in there, they had to check first.
They did. They had to check
Um,
everything that we
and
brought
like
in.
I
So
remember he brought me a pair of sweatpants. And I had two pairs of the same sweatpants. One of them had a string in them and one of them didn't. He ended up grabbing the ones that had the string in it. And they took the damn string and I never got it back.
yeah, because they think
And
of
they took
everything when they took the.
even he brought me this when I was there. And this stupid little
Oh
um
no,
the pencil
because of it.
sharpener, they ripped it out and I specifically asked for this size box for the or for the
For the
crayon sharpener
sharpener.
and they took it.
I know when
They
they were
took it
taking
from me.
we couldn't have shoes with laces, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
and they put things in your head
we
though
had to wear
too, because I'm like,
socks.
why? Why? Well, you could try to hang yourself with these laces, and I'm like, I never would have thought of that, but thanks. Now you just told me that. But yeah, your
I
rights are
was like,
completely stripped.
when they said that, I was thinking, I was like, I don't really think that that shoelace is strong enough to hold me.
No, no, they think of everything. They have to.
Right?
They had
They
to
really
hold.
do.
Yeah, they way more than we would think
Like
of
they
ourselves.
I know. Like they and then they'd even have to like you wouldn't get your stuff for an entire day because they'd have to run it through like I don't know, something to make sure that there's like no bugs or something on
Yeah.
it. So it would take like a whole day for you to get something. And I was so mad that year because I ended up getting out the day after Thanksgiving. So I didn't even get Thanksgiving dinner.
I had Thanksgiving, but I was in there for Christmas, and I
Okay.
got out on New Year's Day, and I said, "This is perfect." My 30th,
Yeah.
my 31st day, so the day I was getting discharged was January 1st, 2025, and I was like, "New month, new year, new day, new me." I was like, "This is
There you
perfect,
go.
perfect." That's the way I had to look at it. Was this is this is God. This is God, and this is
Right.
my chance, to start over. And now, what am I going to do? Because I can't go
Yeah.
with medical stuff. I can't go back to work. So it was like,
Right.
that podcast you've been talking about for all these years. Now it's time that you do it. And my whole family, my
Yeah.
husband, everyone pushed me, and they
Well,
were like, "It's
so
time."
I started my well, I did have like I got TikTok during COVID, but
Hmm.
I didn't ever post anything
Yeah,
up until so like all my friends when I got out of the mental health hospital, they just stopped talking to me. Like I would text them, call them, and it would go to voicemail or they'd left me on red. Like they all of them, like none of them. The only friend that I have is my husband. And so last September, I started, I don't even know how I started. Like, I think just like a random video about how to become a creator like popped up on my screen and I started getting into posting. And then I was like at the beginning, I was just like posting like whatever. And
yeah,
then I was like, you know what? I was like, this would be a great way to be like do your mental health advocacy. Like you could do your videos and like live and like all this stuff. So I've been like pouring everything into it. And because like I don't have anyone else. So like I have fun with
now you
like
got your Gen
talking to myself and
Gagers.
recording myself and then I'll get in live. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not a very consistent live person. I try, but like the videos that I make, like I have to like relive that shit in my head. Like I have to go through my brain and like think about it so I can like make a video. So like
Right.
reliving some of this stuff is like kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
So like every once in a while I'll disappear for like a day or two, but then I'll come right back.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why like that's I'm so glad I stumbled upon the Gen Gagers, enjoyed the Gen Gagers because it's like I've got like almost 300 people that I can talk to
Yes.
and vent to and like that's why I love the Gen Gagers
I
and
do
TikTok
too.
because
I love them.
I
Like,
don't have any other friends. So like you guys are my friends.
we are always going to be your friends. And there's so many of
Yeah.
us. Yeah, Jen did a great thing when she created the Jen Gagers, not just to
She did.
help people monetize and build on the platform, which is great and wonderful and amazing, but the relationships that she didn't realize were going to happen within the group, that's the amazing
Right.
part too. Like all the friendships that people that are you call family now, people that I'm going to go to their lives every time. Like when I'm looking for my lives,
Right.
I'm looking for Jen Gagers first. If no one's on, then I'll go to other people's that I follow.
I'll I'll go to the search and I'll put our flower and
I
I'll
do
go
that
down the
too.
list. I'll go down the list and I'll see who's live. And
Uh-huh.
if no one's live, then I go and I'll look up
Yes.
other hosts that I like to watch.
Right. I love that. I do the same thing.
But
Thank you,
I put that
Jen, for
flower
such a
in the search bar
yes.
and it pulls up all y'all and I just go down the list. I haven't made it to everyone's yet,
I
but
haven't either, but yeah,
I'm not TikTok rich yet. I still
I'm
have to
not
work a
TikTok.
9 to 5.
Right, right, right. Well, I am so glad that you said yes to come on to the podcast. I could tell by following your content and your videos. I was like, she would be great. I want to hear her story. I love to allow people to share their stories, have that safe space, and then
Yeah.
Doing it on TikTok is on the background side. That's new. This is only the third time I've done it like this, but I think I may
Oh,
kind of
really?
start doing a little bit more for some people want to, some people don't. I just happened to got to be asked. The last two people specifically said, "Can I do it because I want my chat included?" And I was like, "I guess,
Well, that's cool.
okay," but it worked out
You're like,
good. So
this
I
is
was like,
new, but
"Okay,
we'll all figure it out
we'll
together.
figure it out. We'll get there was technical difficulties, and then people that don't
Right?
realize that we're recording in two places at once. They're like, we can't see you. I'm not looking at the screen on TikTok. I'm looking at the podcast." So just making
Right.
everybody kind of
Well,
realize the
that's,
technical side of it.
yeah, like that's just like whenever I first started going live, like the viewers kind of like told me like if I was good because like depending on the day, I would sometimes have to use my laptop for the music, but other days I could use my portable speaker. So like
Yeah.
I always had like an issue with the sound. So like I relied solely on my chat like to let me know like, oh, they can hear me
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
can see me. And like they like put in there like if I'm freezing or whatever. I have really bad internet service and phone service where I live. I'm out in like the middle of nowhere.
Me too.
So like
I live on a
sometimes
farm in
it'll
the
go
middle of
in and out.
small town Texas.
I'm in a small town in Pennsylvania.
There we go.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Well, I had such a good time with you, and I hope you did too. And
Yes, this was fun.
I had a blast. We can do it again another time and get in deeper too. I'm kind of excited. I've been wanting to talk to someone who has been in a mental health facility to kind of get more in depth into what that was like and what goes on there. So we may have a part two, and we
Yeah,
can.
that's fine. I even have all my like all the handouts and everything, even like my journal and all that. Like I still have all that from when I was in there.
So we can have a part two. So also
Yeah.
thanks to the chat that came in and
Yeah.
was listening to us and seeing some of what goes into making the podcast. And I'll be getting some teasers out there so that y'all can see some clips. And the full episode will air at the 1st of May. And I will send
I'll
you
just
all the
have to
links and all the
say,
things. Do it.
I'll just have to say, I have to give a shout out to Codeman Master. He is a long follower of mine. He's been here since the beginning. He
Yay!
was talking in the chat and I wasn't watching.
No, I wasn't either. I could see things scrolling by, but I was like, I can't look over there right now.
I know. I was like, because I can see like the hearts going up out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like
Uh huh.
trying not to look at it, but it's like drawing my attention.
And at first, I got a little nervous because the first person that popped in on my side and it was like sharing was Dre, 80s and
Yeah,
Scrubs.
he came in here. He came in here and shared me out too. That's who I
I
gave
was
like the
like,
heart hands to.
yes. Thank you, Dre.
That was the very first time he hopped in my live. Like it kind of
Mine
caught me
too.
off guard. I was like trying not to like make a weird a weird face.
You're like, it's like a famous person, you're like,
Yeah,
oh.
right. Like the very first time Jen came in my live, like I think she was at work or something, and so she couldn't stay. But like she came in and her name came up across. I was like, "What?"
Well, like I said, we'll do this again. And I'm so, so glad we got to get together and that we didn't have very many technical difficulties at all. Everything went great. They said I echoed for
Yeah,
a
I
little
think you
bit, but
did
I was over
good.
there turning my, adjusting all my sound equipment while y'all couldn't see me. So I think it worked. But, so you guys.
I couldn't see it.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for letting Jill share her story. And just always remember, you guys, don't always go and ask, like, how was your day? Make it normal to
Make
say, how is
sure
your mental health?
my best piece of advice is ask your strong friends how they're doing because they're
Yes,
probably the ones that need checked on the most.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And you can always feel free to direct message me because, like I tell you guys all the time, I would rather you message me than hear something bad happen to you.
Yeah. Same thing. I'm always here. My DMs are open. I give my phone number out pretty freely because
Mm-hmm.
I understand. We get it. We
Right.
understand. So until the next time, you guys keep your great mental health. Know that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And
Yes.
always, like she said, ask for help. Ask for help. And let's break this stigma together about talking about our feelings, talking about mental health, and sharing our stories. If you would like to be a guest on Unapologetically Maren, the Cornbread Chronicles, and share your story, there's a link in my bio for my email is there for collabs. So just make sure to hit me up, and I would love to let you share your story as well. So until the next one,